Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Welcome to the wide world of wrestling. My name's Simon Tackler. My co-host, Neil Walters. Hello.
Hello. Still in lockdown, still having fun. I know we say this at the start of every week, but it really is. This is the only thing at the moment that we've kind of got going. So it's good to be back and talk about some good old wrestling.
Yeah, in our part of the world, in Melbourne, Australia, we are in another forced lockdown. So what better to do than watch and talk about wrestling? I think I've watched wrestling content every day this week because there is no reason to leave the house. It's not worth it. I'm just sitting in and smashing the WWE network.
I think I'm going to start going back to playing more of the old games and everything too, because it really is like it's one of those things that you start playing older games and watching older pay-per-views, and you have that. It's better than, for me, it's better than watching old movies and such, because old movies, it gives you a feeling of watching the movie. But when you're watching old wrestling and playing old games, brings back those emotions of like when you watched them when you were like 15 years old and where you were. And I love it. I think it's a great way to pass the time.
Yeah, and I really think if we just talk about the games just quickly, out of all of the years for 2K to be like, all right, we're going to do quality control and we're not putting out a game, man, they should have just put anything out. I know they've got that weird Battlegrounds game coming out, which is like an arcadey, but they could have put out a 2K game this year and it would have sold because people need something to do indoors.
Oh man, I'm going to play the hell out of that Battlegrounds game though. That's going to be so sick because it's just something else at the moment. It's all that happens in my household is I just play Call of Duty and then I watch wrestling and that's it. And then having something else that's not Call of Duty is going to be pretty amazing to do.
Yeah, so that's something to look forward to. And it's good. The roster looks good. It's a mix of new and old superstars, so you can get your nostalgia fix and, pick Stone Cold and The Rock, who are in and every single game.
Stupid matches and everything. Yeah, like The Rock versus Moxley wouldn't be in it, would he? It'd be
Bray Wyatt.
Bray Wyatt, yeah. The Fiend versus The Rock or The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Those kind of matches. I'm sure you could probably do a Boneyard match. That'll probably be in it.
Yeah, it looks like it. Looks like there's different stages. There's alligators that will eat the wrestlers. It looks kind of fun. So that's cool. Yeah, so that's coming up. Also coming up is Extreme Rules, the horror show at Extreme Rules. We'll break down the card soon. But first, let's talk about Fight for the Fallen, AEW putting on their third super show in a row for free on Dynamite. What did you think of this one?
Oh, look, I thought this was actually better than last week. And as an overall card, everything except for one thing that happened, I loved. I think the way that the card was set up, the stories, the Kenny Omega story is a huge talking point, the fact where they're going with him. It built up everything. You had a mask removal, we had the work. So, I definitely think it was a much stronger show than last week, and it definitely had it. They had the absolute wood over NXT this week for sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll go through the card quickly then. Cody defending the TNT title against Sonny Kiss in the Open Challenge. What did you think of this match? Sonny Kiss hasn't had a big-time Dynamite match in a long time.
No, I think it was what Sonny needed was to have a match like this where Sonny came this close to winning. I think there was no way they were going to win. Like, it just wasn't going to happen like that. But I think he has a match like this where he comes this close and then 6 months down the line, he's gonna win it. Cody looked impressive as always. I think he sold for him a lot, but then it was. I thought it was great, especially after the week that Sonny had too, with copped a whole lot of online slack, which is terrible stuff. And I think just anyone saying anything like what was coming out online about Sonny was terrible. So to back it up with a performance like that and basically shut everyone up. Awesome
I didn't see any of that. That's not good to hear.
Homophobic kind of stuff, which is really terrible to read online, especially about, it's wrestling. This is essentially making like fun of someone's personal life when they're playing a character on TV. It's just like, come on, like it's ridiculous to see. And then, but yeah, for Sonny came out and just absolutely dominated and showed what they can do. So it was great.
Yeah, Sonny Kiss is super athletic. Personalities there, everything's there. And I was just quickly Googling his age, 26, still young. And they said, like 6 years of experience, but never on a big level. Being in AEW now with all these veterans around, Sonny Kiss could end up being a really big deal. I know from what I've read, I don't watch it, but on Dark, they've been doing the tag team with Joey Janela. We've seen the vignettes on Dynamite. They've been pretty cool, well made. That's an interesting team, but I would think Sonny Kiss has more long-term potential than Joey Janela as a single star.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Look, for Sonny too, you've got to kind of look at where you go next. I'd love to see him take on MJF for sure, because you could have MJF kind of rip into him and like really play like go this heel character an extra kind of mile. You do it in the right way and play it smart. That could be a really, really good argument. Like having both of those going together, you've got someone that's overly positive and someone that's overly negative, and really take that match. They could have a really good series of matches.
I'd love to see how far they'd be willing to push it, because MJF is sort of a modern-day Roddy Piper. He's controversial. He'll push buttons. He'll say the worst things imaginable to, get under his opponent's skin. Yeah. How far will they push it with MJF? Because MJF isn't a real person. He's a character on TV. For some reason, wrestling falls in a weird space of being fictional, but yet we hold what they say to be true sometimes. I would say let the MJF character be a horrible, offensive, derogatory piece of shit towards Sonny Kiss, and let Sonny Kiss
You've got to be careful.
Yeah, there's a limit, of course. But we're at the point, finally, where we can swap the roles in wrestling, where Sonny Kiss is the hero in the story and MJF is the bad guy. Whereas if we go back 25 years, Roddy Piper was the good guy and Goldust was the bad guy. You could draw parallels to these characters. Maybe it would be nice to swap it.
Yeah, and look at how they treated Goldust back in the day too. It was, he was always called a freak, a weirdo, and he just played into that, and it was his character, and it like everyone loved him for it. So, Sonny could do the same kind of thing, just be overly like weird and just do all of this stuff and like play into MJF, like go up and lick the side of his face, because that's, what Goldust would have done. That kind of stuff would be just so interesting to watch. And obviously MJF and Sonny Kiss just have to have a conversation beforehand. How far can I go?
Yeah.
What's the line? And then go right up to that and just push hard with that.
And it'd be great because it would show that a real life person like the MJF character is the bad guy. They're the one who's intolerant. They're the one who's, deserves to get their comeuppance. It would be nice to see that in the world of wrestling, because we've never seen it with those characters. It's always the other way around. So we'll see where that goes. I liked it. It was a good match. Up next, FTR Lucha Brothers, sort of a dream match and a pretty good match. This was fun. Yeah,
look, it's just showing off more and more how good FTR really are. WWE just kicking themselves. I think you've got WWE, Moxley, and Cody. Vince has to be just sitting back going, God damn it. Like, I had all of this on my roster. I think he's at nearly the same time. Maybe Cody and FTR didn't line up, but everyone was kind of there. And look at now, they're basically just every single week either headlining or coming real close to it. I didn't know if the ending was kind of like, do you think that Rey Fenix's mask was meant to come off?
Yeah, I think so. I think that was a good, really creative ending, especially the way the announcers explained it, because, FTR are all about the rules. Yeah, they said this would be a disqualification there. FTR know the rules here. You can do that. So it threw Rey Fenix off because he would never expect it. He didn't think about the American rules. So I thought it was really, a nice creative ending and a really good hand-eye coordination to just snatch it in one shot.
Yeah, absolutely, and then cover the face really quick. And that's why I think they did it so well, because I questioned whether it was meant to happen or not. And whenever you have something like that happen, you're like, that's, we're pushing the boundaries of belief. And that's, I think that was probably my favorite ending of the night to a match, easily. And like the fact, but when FTR at the end, there was a few pretty decent cock ups on this show, like JR at the start. At the very start, when he's introducing it, he calls it, I think he said it was Fighter Fest.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He didn't call it Fight for the Fallen. I think he called it Fighter Fest. Yeah. And then FTR, the car wouldn't start at the end. And
that was like amazing.
Going,
yeah. Yeah, you saw him almost throw up his hands and then they cut, like they faded away.
Yeah,
but yeah, that was hilarious. Also with FTR, there was another one. That's right. Just before they were taking an ad break and they were going to come back to this match. JR was hyping it. And he goes, it's tag team heaven or it's going to be tag team hell. And Excalibur must have thought the mics were off. And he basically was complimenting JR as they were going, off the air. He was like, I really like that last line you said. And
they've got huge problems with the microphones, hey? It happens all of the time.
Yeah. Like, anytime they're coming in or out, you hear the cues.
I think it's because we're watching it on Fight.
Yeah, maybe.
In the US, obviously, they're watching it with ads. So it cuts the audio as soon as it goes to an ad break, but we're not getting the ad break. We're still get the live feed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if anyone else around the world is kind of getting that. But yeah, I think there's been quite a few times where JR's just kept talking and been like, what the hell's up next? Or he's like, dude, as if someone isn't just turning down their mics. As soon as they say, we're going to a break, bang, off.
I think they've learned, like now when they go to the ad on the Fight app, we don't hear commentary anymore. But you're right. The first couple of months, that was almost the highlight, just sitting through those ads and just hearing JR and Shivani, like, why are you guys still talking? I remember they had the bikini girls. I think it was for like Bash at the Beach. And JR was like, oh, God damn, look at her. Creepy.
It's like, he's very lucky that, because JR's like an old dude from the South. He could have said some pretty terrible things along the lines.
Oh, man.
I'm pretty sure he's very lucky that back in the old WWF days, they didn't have those problems. Because I think him and King would have said a lot of interesting things.
Yeah, I'd pay money for all that B-roll footage of them just sitting, waiting during ads.
I think the King would have paid for it to not come out.
Yeah, exactly. We also had a 6-man tag. That was fun, the Elite and Jurassic Express. This was all about the ending. Kenny Omega, just after the bell, still beating down Marco's stunt. He also had the beer poured on him by FTR. So we're going somewhere with Kenny.
Yeah, Kenny Omega looks like he's going to be going back to, what was his heel character? The Cleaner?
The Cleaner, yeah.
The Cleaner, yeah. It looks like he's going back there, which I'm all about. I'm a little bit over the really positive, very Japanese Kenny Omega. I want to see him. And it's kind of, for those who haven't seen Kenny Omega's stuff he did in Japan, he's just a Japanese wrestler. Like, he just fits in with everyone else so much, and he just looks like, the only thing that's not Japanese about him when he wrestles over there is his look. And even that, the way he does things, the way like his moves are, it's very New Japan. Even seeing that now, you're like, I can't wait for a character switch and him to go real evil and just turn on the Elite. It's going to be, I think that'll be one of the best things to come up. And having like, maybe Nick Jackson versus Kenny Omega, and then Matt Jackson, and then you could have Cody versus Kenny. Huge matches.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. I think, the one thing missing with Kenny in AEW is furthering his character. You can't just keep telling me he's the best wrestler in the world. You can't just keep saying, oh, he's a superstar. Like the commentators talk him up so much anytime he comes to the ring. Give us more of a reason. And I think they're going to get there because Kenny can do a lot more from a character standpoint. So it's going to be good.
I think you'll see Omega versus Moxley down the line. I think, personally, I think that's when Moxley will drop it. He'll drop it to Omega. And then that will be a huge, huge run of matches, Moxley versus Omega. That could main event all the pay-per-views for the whole year.
Yeah, well, we saw them they had that insane street fight, but that was sort of just, oh, they disagree about what kind of wrestling is right. But no, if we're doing it that Kenny Omega is the cleaner again and he's crazy and he can match Moxley's craziness, then it's going to be good.
Well, they had was it just a street fight or was it a
unsanctioned match, lights
unsanctioned,
out.
That's right. Yeah, where he did the whole getting Moxley started ripping the ring up and then finished by that was again, I think that's still one of my favorite matches to date. But I can very much see Moxley dropping the belt to Omega down the line.
So that's going to be big. We've got that. We also had Nyla Rose announcing who her manager was. We were speculating. Neither of us picked it. Vicky Guerrero is back with that dubstep remix entrance theme. That was something.
Look, it's I really hate that character. I really do. When she was with Edge, that whole excuse me thing, it's just like, I get it. She's a great heel. She's a fantastic heel. She does exactly what you need to do, which is you just have to hate her and you want to turn it off, but you know it's going to be interesting, so you still watch it. But, oh, my God, Nyla Rose, I didn't like her anyway. And now, she's got the most annoying woman in all of wrestling ever as her manager. And that's going to be on there every single week. And she's probably going to get the title back now.
Yeah.
It works, but, it just was such a kick in the pants when it happened.
Yeah, Vicky Guerrero's a tough one. She seems so nice in real life. I really like her anytime I see an interview with her or anything.
Yeah.
And as a character, she was amazing for the first couple of years, but I thought in WWE they dragged that on too long. When she jumped to Raw and became GM, and she would always just keep showing up. After the first couple of years with Edge and a little bit with Ziggler, should have been over. But my God, still need it now. Don't need it with Nyla Rose.
No. I hope it's just a short run. I hope it's a short contract kind of thing. And they just, I hope it does. It's not like next couple of years. She's on every single episode because it'll get old really fast.
Yeah. And then just quickly, we'll wrap up talking about this show. Moxley and Cage, what did you think? They had to postpone it. They did it here. It's pretty good.
Perfect ending. Cage doesn't tap or doesn't get pinned, and Moxley keeps the title. Very, very smart by them, because obviously this is going to go on for a little while. I thought it was a good match, not a fantastic match. Cage is a lot more athletic than what I thought he was going to be, because I haven't seen many of his matches. Like when he did a moonsault, and it was like absolutely centimeter perfect. Like I loved it.
Oh yeah, he's a freak.
But yeah, I don't like him with Taz. I think it's I like Moxley giving it to Taz. That was great. Where he like flips him off and everything. I was like, that's brilliant. But yeah, I'm not sold on the Cage character yet. Hopefully, next couple of matches you start to see a bit of a change, but who knows?
Yeah, we need to see more from Cage as a personality. We've seen now that, he's great in the ring athletically. In this match, he's a beast, and Moxley could barely hurt him. Taz is so good on the mic and so good as a character. He's overshadowing Cage a little bit. For me, like, I'm looking forward to the Taz promos more than I am hearing about or from Brian Cage. This feels like Moxley and Taz, not Moxley and Cage.
Yeah, which that'd be sick. I'd love to see Taz getting his head beaten in at the moment, but I don't think it'll happen.
Also, great. Again, same with the mask in the Lucha Brothers match. The ending of this, having the commentators explain that no, Taz isn't a coward, Brian Cage isn't a coward. It was smart to throw in the towel to save his arm. Like, they're doing a really good job of explaining some of these endings. Not just saying, whoa, what an idiot. Oh, Moxley's a good man and Brian Cage is a dumb bad guy. They explain, no, this was a smart game plan. Save your arm. No point, being too proud to tap out.
It's clearly thought, like, the writing team for AEW deserves a pat on the back, because they're clearly working with their commentators, and it makes sense. You have explanations. It's great commentary. It's what commentary needs to be. Not just with WWE where it feels a little bit just in the moment thrown together. Like if you're on a TV show where everything's written, you know what's going to happen. Having these kind of explanations and really thought out commentary is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, WWE's commentary is to the extreme. It either sounds like they don't know what they're watching and they just ramble, or they've planned it too much. It doesn't feel natural. Like, it's one or the other.
Look at Michael Cole. Like when Shane jumped off the Hell in a Cell and they caught him looking at the script saying, "For the love of mankind."
Yeah.
For one, as if he couldn't remember that. Like, very easy line.
But he wanted to nail
got
it.
someone in your ear. Yeah, he wanted to nail it. But just, you've got someone in your ear the whole time, which is Vince saying, remember to say that line.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a script there in front of you. Like, it's, yeah. And when you've got Jericho coming in on commentary, 10 out of 10 every single time.
Look, between JR, Shivani, Taz, and Jericho, AEW has the best announced team in decades for wrestling. Like when Taz jumped on the first part of this show and then Jericho the second half, you still had JR, Shivani was at home. You had Excalibur, and I'll be honest, I can take it or leave it with Excalibur. I don't care.
Yeah.
But seriously, the roster of announcers they have, my God, it's pretty damn good.
But even Jericho just saying the whole time, it's just like about how we got orange juice poured on, and he goes, "I'm sticky as hell, JR. I'm sticky as hell." And him and JR work so well together.
They're really good. Before every ad break, he would just keep yelling, "I'm covered in orange juice." Yeah, I'm sticky. Just trying to get one last line. Yeah,
it's a good laugh. Like. And you don't have that anywhere else at the moment. You're not laughing at the commentary. You're either going, "That was terrible," or you're not noticing it. With Jericho on there, you're just like constantly thinking it's funny. And he's doing such a great job. I really want him to transition to do full-time commentary very soon. And I think he will.
He will eventually, but it's Jericho. He just keeps coming up with new stuff, calling himself the demo god, having the t-shirt. He's the best. He just knows what button to push, what's trending amongst wrestling fans and running with it. But just have the shirt ready. And Demo God, great wordplay. It's Jericho. Of course, he'd come up with a catchphrase and turn it into a thing, bragging about the ratings and saying how, the executives love me and all that. It's great. And ballsy move for him to do that promo and be confident that AEW would win the ratings again because they lost the overall 2 weeks in a row. They smashed him this week.
If they'd lost the ratings, he would have looked like an idiot. Like, it would have been really, really bad. But, he didn't smash it. And it's just, the fact that AEW seemed to be just pushing that line further and further of we're making this a war that we want to win. At the start, that it was very much both sides were like, let's just be happy that there's wrestling. Now it's clearly starting to go towards, let's beat these guys. Let's beat them all the time and beat them out of existence. AEW want to win this war, and at the moment, they're going to win this war. They're just better. So
it was a tough one this week.
The only thing for me that NXT has over AEW is those big pay-per-views. When they do the war games and those kind of things, that's always, to me, they step it up a level and it's always better. But AEW consistently week to week is just the writing, the characters, everything is better for them.
Yeah, for some reason, I'm more excited about AEW random matches than I am weekly WWE matches. I don't know why. Maybe it's still fresh. I haven't seen these wrestlers for 10 years in a row. But again, the NXT roster's new too. But something about the weekly NXT show hasn't been clicking for me for a while, for maybe 6 months. This whole year, it's just felt dull. The takeovers have still been good. Something about the shows just felt so lifeless. It's weird.
Yeah. I think it's because they're taking the WWE thing and building towards a pay-per-view. But then when the pay-per-views are a little bit lackluster at the moment, no crowds, all that kind of stuff, it just all falls by the wayside.
Yeah.
It is difficult.
And just one point about, I don't know, ratings or how it may work and what would make someone flick the channel. But AEW kicked this show off with Cody defending a title against Sonny Kiss. Big promoted match. NXT kicked it off with their new double champion, Keith Lee. And people might have watched Keith Lee. I thought, that's a big moment. But I'll be honest, after about 2 minutes of his promo, I got so bored. If I was watching these live, I would have flicked. Keith Lee is so well spoken, but he's a terrible promo, in my opinion. I've never seen someone be so good at speaking, but be so boring to listen to speak. It's like he's narrating an audiobook. But anyway, I don't get it.
He's an interesting fellow. It's great to see him as a double champion, but got to work on those promos.
Yeah, he's awesome. I think he's bloody great when he's fired up. It's awesome. Something about, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, just reading a book, it sounds like.
Yep.
So that's that. And just before we get into the horror show at Extreme Rules, we do want to mention that on Twitter, we saw CM Punk posting about the 9-year anniversary of the legendary Money in the Bank match at Money in the Bank 2011. Is that right? Do I have my maths right? Yes, 2011.
Yeah, 2011. God. That's 9 years.
That is 9 years. I don't know
that
what year
seriously
it is.
Seems like yesterday. Actually, I watched the Money in the Bank match this morning again. I think it's my most rewatched, apart from WrestleMania 17. That pay-per-view, Money in the Bank 2011, it's so unbelievably good. That crowd will never be beaten. You'll never get that again. You'll never get that pop. You'll never get that whole crowd on one side. I think I can't remember who was commentating. I think it was Jerry Lawler said, he's like, this is actually like having, the Browns win the Super Bowl in Boston. Like, it was just insane. So I love that. And seeing him kind of, I think we were talking about it before we started, and seeing him kind of acknowledge these things at the moment is a good sign. And who knows, does this kind of mean, if he's starting to acknowledge his old wrestling matches, is he making a bit of a play to remind people how good he was? And then that means a jump to go back into wrestling.
Well, he's got to do something because, WWE Backstage was cancelled and he seems like he's got the itch to talk about wrestling again. So, what's his outlet? Is he testing the waters? He knows this is what people want from him. There's nothing else we want. I'm sure that horror movie he's in is okay, and I'm sure he's a decent actor. He tried MMA, and I know you can't always just do what people want you to do. You got to do what you want to do. But, man, everyone just wants him to, give it another shot.
Look, where I think he's going to go is I think he goes to AEW in some capacity, whether it's commentary, whether it's some kind of on-screen role. I don't think he goes back to full-time wrestling. It doesn't make much sense. But I think this time next year, you and I will be talking about how CM Punk is at AEW and so is Jeff Hardy. But Jeff Hardy, in no doubt in my mind, is going to AEW.
If Punk goes, I don't know. I feel like him taking that Fox money meant that he might be okay with wrestling in WWE.
No, there's no way he goes back to WWE. I think that appeal is gone. When AEW can have crowds again, they're going to be able to have much bigger venues than they were. Because think about this, everyone is going to want to go.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it is.
The demand is there.
So they will be able to do Madison Square Garden for events very, very soon after we can have crowds again. In New York City, that's probably not going to be for a couple of years, but when they do, so that means they'll have more money, bigger crowds, bigger response. Why go to WWE if you can have those size crowds in AEW?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I'd love to see him in AEW. I just don't know. He seems like taking the Fox money feels like he will go with the safe choice. Because he had the option to go to AEW from what we heard, the negotiations and whatever.
I want him to go to WWE because I want to see him versus John Cena one more time. at WrestleMania. I want to see him versus The Rock at WrestleMania.
I think there's a better chance of Punk wrestling in AEW than John Cena coming back for another run. I think Cena's done.
I don't know, man. I think he goes out with a bit more of a bit more flair in a way, like, to use a bit of a pun there. I think he needs a farewell rather than he's written off by the Fiend.
Yeah. No, I get that. He might have one more match. I just don't think we'd ever see Cena versus Punk or anything like that. I don't know.
Who would you have as John Cena's retirement match?
Yeah, that is a tough one.
Like, him versus Cena is a good match.
Yeah, to me, Cena's best opponents ever for me. Oh, maybe Edge. I thought their chemistry, them wrestling, the fact that Cena and Edge never main evented a WrestleMania or never had a one-on-one WrestleMania match was insane. Yeah. There were a couple of years there where it should have 100% gotten a shot at WrestleMania. And the fact that at WrestleMania 25, they were going to, but they shoehorned Big Show to make it a triple threat into that match, ruined what would have been, I think, an absolute classic. They never had a Mania match, and it's a shame because their feud did so much for Edge and Cena.
Didn't Edge and Cena have a TLC match?
They had it was a great series because it was SummerSlam in Boston. Edge won that match. So that's Cena's hometown. A month later in Toronto, they did TLC and Cena wins that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
I think you're probably right then. Edge and Cena at WrestleMania. Huge.
Edge is back. It could happen.
And what if it's the last match for both of them?
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
So you have Edge's last match and Cena's last match. They know it. They say it. They go, this is the last time you'll ever see these two both together and as singles competitors. That would be massive. That would headline Mania for sure.
100%. That's like, as big as it gets for that era of WWE.
You could have, and imagine if you have, say, Edge wins the Rumble next year. Cena comes back, somehow wins the title off someone at Rumble. And then you have Edge versus Cena for the title at Mania in a retirement. And like, if Cena wins, Edge retires, or the other way around, and then at the end they both retire or something. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, there is the other obvious choice of Cena and Orton, just because WWE tried for so long telling us this is this generation's Rock and Austin. Never happened.
Yeah.
Never felt like it really clicked. Their matches were never that good. For whatever reason, those guys just always felt off. I don't know. But yeah, they're the options, I think. And of course, Cena and Punk. You're either a Cena versus Punk or a Cena versus Edge guy. To me, they're Cena's biggest feuds.
Yeah. But yeah, I really do hope Punk comes back in some capacity because especially at the moment, we need something like this. We just do. Yeah.
We need something huge. Like we were lucky. Look,
maybe
as crazy as it is.
Because still don't know who the hell the hacker is. Maybe it was Punk.
Yeah. It could have been. It could have been. And then maybe the pandemic hit and he was like, I'm not showing up to these weird shows.
I'm not showing up to no one. Yeah. Because if it was Ali, just bring him back. Like no one particularly cares.
Well, but then the reasoning was that Ali actually got traded to Raw. So they just canceled the hacker thing. But who knows if that's true either. We don't know.
Because then the hacker could have gone to Raw and just do it there.
Exactly.
Like, not a huge problem to change that over. He didn't really make that many changes. But yeah, if you have the hack, if the hacker was CM Punk, and then he comes back, the pop, that'll be the biggest pop of all time.
Yeah, you couldn't waste Punk returning in front of no one.
Have to be the Raw after Mania, and then have to be in Boston. Oh, not in
Chicago.
In Chicago.
Yeah.
Just the pop there would be unbelievable.
It'd be huge. Speaking of things that might not be as huge, the horror show at Extreme Rules, another quarantine pay-per-view. This one looks like fun. Seriously, for us especially, we've been saying got to go more full-on with the gimmicks, and there's a few gimmick cinematic matches on this, so I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. This is what I wanted, and we're getting it.
For some reason, every year they continue to do it. It's an Extreme Rules show, but not all the matches are Extreme Rules. You've got 1, 2, 3 singles matches. What the hell?
Also, am I crazy? Or have they cut Sheamus versus Hardy in the bar fight? It's not on the WWE preview.
It's not on there.
Are you on the WWE website?
Wikipedia either.
Yeah, what the hell?
I'm on the Wikipedia page and it's not there. Wow. Which to me screams that one of them has COVID. Must be.
Hold on.
Well,
I'm just
Googling.
Googling. This is weird.
Sheamus last week wasn't actually at the venue. He was via video, like 2 weeks in a row. So, yeah, maybe one of them's got the COVID.
Oh, here we go. Hold on. I found an update from Sports Wikis. I don't know if that's a reliable site.
Here we go. I think it's on e-wrestling news too. And 411 Mania. Not to talk down those websites, but I've never heard of them. It's on Raw. It's on SmackDown next week due to low ratings.
Oh, okay. Wow. I see what they've done. Same reasoning for Randy Orton versus Big Show being held off till Raw. They're saving a couple of big matches with their big veterans. If you want to watch these Legends matches, you got to watch Raw and SmackDown.
Kind of makes sense, but Jesus, just what? Yeah, that's.
Remember when WWE for 20 years?
What are you doing?
Like, they've told us for 20 years that WCW were idiots for giving away big matches on TV for free. They've done whole documentaries about how those decisions ruined a promotion forever. And what are they doing now? They're panicking and doing the same thing. Be confident in your big matches and put them on the pay-per-view and make people order the network. If you think it's a big match, make me pay for it.
Be confident in your writers for SmackDown and Raw too. Like, what the hell?
Well, yeah.
Why can't they put together decent matches? And you're saying we've got to pull it from the pay-per-view and put it on here. That's to me that's shit. But
yeah,
I'm also not a writer, so whatever.
I was looking forward to that match too, like legitimately.
I guess you'll get it. I think it'll obviously be filmed. And they probably already filmed it, and now they're just going to put it on SmackDown.
So they get a night off, really.
Yeah.
That's not too bad. All right, well, let's go with the remaining card. SmackDown Tag Team Championship table match. The New Day versus Shinsuke and Cesaro.
Cesaro and Shinsuke will win this, for sure, I think. The New Day's become a little bit stale in my books at the moment. I'm not overly excited to see them wrestle, but I'm excited to see them wrestle Cesaro and Shinsuke. Those two are two of the best wrestlers in WWE and all of wrestling, and putting them together and not having someone in between them, which was just a huge waste of their talents, I think. Give them the titles, give them a good run with it. Starting with a tables match is great too. I've been screaming for the New Day to break up for years. I'd love to see Big E and Kofi have a one-on-one kind of thing going forward. It's not going to happen because they're probably the biggest merch money makers in all of professional wrestling would be the New Day. So, it's not going to happen, but I'd love to see, Big E costs Kofi this match for some reason. Then that leads to Big E versus Kofi, and then the triple threat at Mania, which we've all been wanting for years too. But I think it'll be just as simple as Cesaro and Shinsuke pick up the win and do it easily.
See, that's another one, though. Surely you've got to save that breakup for when we have crowds again. I know we can't keep saying that about everything because who knows when real crowds are going to come back, but you can't break up the New Day in front of no one.
Apparently September we're looking at SummerSlam with a crowd maybe. So I think that's very, very, very unlikely.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes. It's all about what certain American states want to do. I feel like it's going to be a state-by-state thing. So we'll see where they end up. Speaking of the United States, the US Championship on the line, Apollo Crews versus
good segue.
MVP. Yeah, there we go. It was perfect.
Very good segue.
What do you think of the new US title? It's pretty fancy.
Oh, it's so sick. That's probably the best looking title now.
They haven't had a good new title in years. That might be the best one they've had in a while.
The IC title is a bit of a train wreck.
It's a bit weird.
We all know that the 24/7 title is the worst looking thing of all time.
The tag titles suck.
They're so bad. They're nearly as bad as the AEW women's title, which apparently is the size of a peanut. If anyone that's not a Japanese tiny wrestler holds the thing, when Nyla Rose hold it, looks like it's holding up a little bit of cardboard. It's terrible.
It looks like an actual belt that I would use for my pants, like a normal belt.
Yeah, or one of those like tiny belts you can get from Kmart for like $5.
Yeah.
I think it's a sick title. Can't wait for that thing to start getting a good run around. I think MVP wins this because it's his title he's kind of introducing. He introduced the new title. And then, maybe we see MVP versus who's he managing?
Lashley?
Lashley, maybe. Maybe Lashley turns on him and goes, I want that title.
Well, he should. He can say, hold on, you said you were going to take me to the top and you're the one who ended up with the championship.
Yeah, I think that's a great storyline if they go for that. The smart part of my brain goes, Apollo Crews retains because MVP is not going to wrestle every single week, but maybe that's the thing. He just doesn't wrestle.
Yeah.
He holds on to it. It's so weird that he's doing this instead of his wrestler. So it's weird, but yeah.
MVP's so good, though. He's been one of the best performers in the past, I guess, since WrestleMania, when he just started showing up every week.
Look, when we got him at Rumble, I was like, why? Why does he and I still disagree with him being in the Rumble. I think that should have gone to someone from NXT or literally anybody else that deserved it. But I like where they've situated him in. It is interesting seeing him come back and take on a management role and now apparently fight every now and then. So why not?
It's cool. Bayley versus Nikki Cross for the SmackDown Women's Championship match. A match that feels like it'll be more about the character stuff and the personalities as opposed to the in-ring. I don't know what I'm going to expect in terms of a match, but it could be fun, I guess.
Yeah, look, the fact that Sasha and Bayley are both fighting for titles on the same night, one of two things happens here. They both lose. Which means that Bayley drops a belt, which I think that's the least likely scenario. There's one of three things. They both win, which means that they both then hold titles, which I think is a very likely scenario. Or number three, which if I was a betting man, I'd be putting money on this, is Nikki wins and Sasha wins, which means you've got the ultimate swap. And then you've got Bayley wanting a belt back, and then which means she goes after Sasha.
That'd be a nice twist on it. Yeah, because they've always
everyone's going to go. When's Sasha going to turn on Bayley? What if it's the other way around and Bayley turns on Sasha and goes after her title?
That's not a bad way to go because people love Sasha Banks. She's been killing it lately, especially. To have her in the role of, I guess, the babyface eventually, that would be huge. Sasha Banks can still be an even bigger star than she is.
Only problem is I can't see them giving Nikki Cross a belt.
Unless it's just temporary.
Doesn't make any sense.
Just short term.
Yeah. Look, at the moment, it's probably the best time to give her the belt because she's been a great performer. She is... and then maybe you could have two turns. You could have Nikki versus, so what Bliss. Is it? SummerSlam's the next SummerSlam's the next thing. Yeah, maybe Bliss turns on her. So you've got Nikki versus Bliss and then Sasha versus Bayley at SummerSlam. That's sick.
It's pretty big. Well, speaking of Sasha Banks, these matches are related because of Bayley and Sasha. But Sasha Banks versus Asuka, this match is going to be great. I'm looking forward to this one.
I think this could steal the show. they're both amazing at what they do. I really hope that Bayley isn't ringside and she has no involvement and it just lets Asuka and Sasha really have a go at it, because some NXT veterans, we know how good these two are. We know how good Asuka is. Asuka dropping the belt here wouldn't be the end of the world for her. But Sasha losing, it's like, well, what now? Like, unless Bayley costs Sasha the match because she doesn't want her to be a champion, and that's where the split is.
That's not a bad next step, because then it's like, oh, don't worry, Sasha, you didn't win your title and I lost mine, but we're still tag champs. You should be happy because we're still champs together.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's kind of interesting that they're doing this across both brands with one story. So
yeah, I love that, the fact that they're just blurring the lines of where they said that was split, but then is Sasha on Raw or is she on SmackDown? And no one knows, no one cares now.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. You know, just have maybe one cross-brand story at a time. Getting to the big championship matches. We don't know the stip yet. Drew McIntyre versus Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, look, I think the rumored stipulation was it's going to be a TLC match.
Oh, cool.
Hard to, like, I don't know. I've said this from the start, when there's no crowds and you've got ladder matches and such, it just doesn't feel right. But that's what the heavy rumor is, that it's a TLC match. And what else? Like, the one thing I don't understand is, why aren't they telling people what it is? Like, isn't that a good advertisement for the show, rather than finding out it'll be on the night? We're going to find out what kind of match it is.
Yeah, I don't know if the drama is there enough for me to be like, well, I better pay because I want to see this. Yeah, I want to know.
If it's a TLC match, tell everyone it's a TLC match. TLC matches are always good. So let's go with that. It just, that doesn't make any sense to me. But there's no way Dolph's winning. Drew's just going to continue on this huge run because he is that good. Unless there's some shenanigans. Yeah, Drew wins. Drew continues on.
Yeah, Drew wins. Dolph never wins these matches, so that's that one. No. Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt in the Wyatt Swamp fight. Another cinematic match.
This will be match of the night.
Yeah, you think they'll pull it off and make it fun? Yeah,
it's Bray Wyatt. He's everything he touches at the moment turns to gold. Bray wins because it's a non-title match.
So silly that it's non-title.
For some reason it's non-title, but that's why it's a non-title. So they have Bray win it. And then at SummerSlam, it's Bray versus The Fiend. Then The Fiend wins again, gets his belt back. That's pretty much set in concrete, I'd say. I love that they're bringing back Bray's old character. You'll have the Three Faces of Foley thing here for sure, I'd say. And then I think The Fiend probably picks up the win or helps in a huge way. Like, maybe put Braun into the swamp. How do you win the match? No one really knows at the moment. What the hell's a swamp fight? But, you know, we said going into Mania, what the hell's a boneyard match? And it was sick. So
yeah, we didn't know what a boneyard or a Firefly Funhouse were, and they were both great. So let's not doubt Bray Wyatt yet. Let's let the match unfold. And then finally, I saved it till last because this is the one everyone's talking about. Rey Mysterio, Seth Rollins, eye for an eye. The only way to win is to pop your opponent's eyeball out of its socket.
Eye for an eye. I don't know what the hell this is. Like, no one's eye is going to come out of the goddamn socket. Like,
says who?
It's well, how? Like, obviously they can do it cinematically. Are you really going to show someone's fake eye coming out of their head?
Yep, dangling down their cheek.
If it's oh my God, I think it's coming down to Dominic. I think Dominic turns on Ray and joins Seth's group. I think that's my big pick. Somehow Seth's managed to brainwash Dominic, and he comes out every week and wears a suit and destroys Rey Mysterio. And then eventually, when he's like a good enough wrestler, you can have Seth versus Dominic or something like that. I think it's definitely all about Dominic this match.
Well, what if Seth doesn't want to poke Ray's eyes out? He pokes Dominic's eye out. And Dominic is blinded and then disappears for a while. but then comes back as like a masked Avenger. And that's how we, in story, explain why Dominic starts wearing a mask. He wears a mask because he was ripped apart by Seth Rollins, and he comes back as like a Sting type character who's out for revenge against Seth's goons.
It's so stupid, but I love it.
Yeah.
I'm all about it. I think we said this every single week. The stupider, the better, really.
Yeah, and let's not forget, Sting didn't talk in his feud with the NWO because they destroyed his voice box with a baseball bat. Yeah. And that's why he came for vengeance with the bat and didn't speak for a year. Maybe Dominic can like come for revenge with whatever Seth pokes his eye out, like a big spoon or something. You know,
let's just turn him into a pirate. Let's pirate Dominic. I'm all in.
Yes.
Look at Kofi Kingston used to be Jamaican, and no one ever talks about that. Kane was meant to have a burnt face. No burnt face. Like, it's the disbelief is fine. Someone's eye can come out, and next week he can have a perfectly fine new eye. It just that's the thing. I don't understand. You could have done any stipulation for this match, but one where someone's eye actually has to come out of their head is incredible.
Yeah.
I think it'll be awesome.
And that's why I think whoever loses this, it's going to become part of their character moving forward. I think they've agreed that we're going to turn it into a gimmick. Or at the very least, like, let's say Seth loses. Seth can be off TV, go be with his wife, Becky Lynch. You know, she's pregnant. That could be the explanation. He wants time off, turn it into a gimmick, and then he can come back in a few months and they say, oh, Seth got eye surgery, but temporarily he has to wear an eye patch. You know, 100% Seth could make an eye patch work for a little bit as a gimmick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, or maybe he was able to heal himself because he's the Messiah, and he does a huge, like, that's it, I've just got it.
That's
awesome. He does a whole thing where he takes off his eye patch, he goes, I have performed a miracle. That's what it is.
A faith healing
type thing? That's not what it is.
Sick. Yes.
That has to be what it is.
Yeah.
He's able to heal himself. And then he, like, brings out people and picks them out of wheelchairs and they can walk again. Yeah.
That's so good.
Do that.
Well, hey, Bruce Pritchard is in charge of creative, and we know he based Brother Love on, you know, those old school evangelical faith healer guys. Maybe his pitch this is like, this is where I wanted to go with Brother Love. Seth, you're going to do it. That'd be awesome.
I'm keen for that. Let's go.
Yeah. I think we've just booked Extreme Rules, the eye for an eye match, pretty damn well. You mentioned it earlier when we were talking about Jeff Hardy. You said you want to see him go to AEW. Do you not think he's going to stick around WWE?
No way. His contract's up soon. They're not using him unless they've said you're up with the Fiend next and you're going to get the title or something. What the hell are they doing with him? Like, I think he will absolutely have seen how well Matt's doing in AEW, how well they're using his character. Bring back Jeff Hardy with Matt Hardy on AEW. It's just a no-brainer for me. I think he'll want to finish his career with his brother. There's no way he finishes his career taking on King Corbin and Sheamus. Like, that's not appealing at all. Like, he doesn't even have a match on Extreme Rules, and you pretty much based the Extreme Rules pay-per-view around Jeff Hardy. Extreme was his thing. He was Team Extreme. The colors for the pay-per-view are his colors that he paints himself in.
Not even on the
show. Like, to me, it's not about money now, obviously. So he'll go with Matt, and you could have Matt versus Jeff on AEW. Why wouldn't you do that?
I think Jeff's in a good spot from a bargaining standpoint, though, because if Roman's not coming back anytime soon, Jeff Hardy is the biggest star on SmackDown, like mainstream recognition. Jeff Hardy versus The Fiend might be the biggest main event SmackDown can do for a while. And maybe if they're not going to do that, Jeff might think, all right, they're not going to run with me in that position anymore. But if he can make that happen, he's got a good shot of getting one last huge run.
Oh, look, I want it to happen. I want Jeff Hardy versus The Fiend at WrestleMania. That's what I want. I think that would be so sick. I want to see Jeff Hardy win the Rumble. Like, that would be so incredible to see him go his whole career never having done that. Wins the Rumble, takes on The Fiend, beats The Fiend at Mania, has his last ever story kind of thing, and then goes and then has a little run on AEW.
Yeah.
Then goes to AEW and finishes up his career taking on his brother a couple of times, and then that's it. I can't see them giving him that. Unless they promised it to him and that's why he came back.
Maybe.
Who knows? I love Jeff Hardy. He's my favorite wrestler of all time, and I hope that he gets what he deserves at WWE because, he deserves it.
The WWE loves Jeff Hardy, though. They give him so many chances. They give him a doco every year on the network, it seems. They just put another one up. I swear they did one not long ago about the same thing, his redemption. They want him to just redeem himself and end on a high note. Hopefully that happens for him. As many times as he stuffs up, you just love Jeff Hardy. For whatever reason, you're like, it's Jeff, though,
The only reason I've never stopped liking him. I'm just always disappointed when I see something happen that I'm not going to see him on TV. I'm never like, oh no, like, oh, how dare he or whatever. I'm always just like, damn, now we're not going to see Jeff for a year. So it's just more of an annoying thing than a disappointment. So I hope that he's obviously clean and sober now, and he's doing really well. So I give him one more title run and have a real go at it. Yeah.
Well, he's not on Extreme Rules, so I guess we'll look forward to the next episode of SmackDown.
Yeah. Yay.
Yeah, which is so weird. All right, well, we're going to wrap it up there. Let's see if any of our predictions come true at Extreme Rules, and specifically the ones to do with the eye for an eye. I want all of those scenarios to happen.
None of them will. I want the glory of getting that right.
I want to predict one of these cinematic matches correctly, because we're aiming even higher than they are. I want them to aim high as we do for these. So we'll see. Yeah. Until then, though, subscribe to the podcast. You can find us everywhere you find podcasts. Look for the Wide World of Wrestling. We are a part of the Ozcast network. Check us out on the Ozcast Wrestling channel as well on all your usual podcast locations. Neil, I'll catch you next week.
Been a pleasure. Cheers.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.